Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 29th of July. All right, just starting on the news, first of all, okay, a little bit more coronavirus stuff coming out. I did see an interesting video yesterday saying there is a cure, but it's been suppressed. But as for people to work out, now the rest of the news here, right, I don't see any major change, right, in the whole dollar picture. There's talk about, with the dollar decline, what does that do for the global economy, all that sort of stuff? They're just coming up with stuff because there's no fresh news, right? So this, to me, there's no change of news. But what we are seeing is the dollar starting to trade sideways. And when that happens, traders start to get the wobbly boot. And what I mean by that is they start to second guess, they start to get a bit unsure about what's going on, and they start squaring up. So we're seeing the US dollar, or the dollar index itself, trade sideways. We've still got resistance on the cross there at 94.20. You can see the dollar yuan, not that I'm actually actively trading the yuan. It's trading sideways. US equities, down 0.7, no big deal. Isn't really doing a hell of a lot. We've got pretty good structure here on the major currencies as we come into that Asian session. One of the key focuses will be the Aussie CPI numbers. Now, I don't think the macros are going to come into play today, but usually this would be a huge number. It's a quarterly number, so it's got a lot of impact. But coming back to the charts now, this is probably a little bit more important. So just looking where the currencies are. Now, the Aussie and Kiwi have missed this last little surge, and they are sort of stalling, right? But we do have support for both pairs reasonably close. So I think that's going to be enough to hold it. Whereas you look at Euro, Euro's had a much bigger rise to fame, right? So it's rallied more aggressively. I think the market was probably short Euros because everyone knows Europe's sort of in the bottom of the barrel as well. And we're starting to see a drift sideways. Now, if I just blow that up, you'll get a good picture here of what's going on. And this comes back to what I put on the Daily Market Insight page with regards looking for an entry, back down towards 116 this isn't exactly, see this support level. I mean, it is holding at the moment, but there's no momentum going through this. Now, leading up to the actual, as it approached the trend line, everyone's sort of wondering, is it going to break? Is it going to rally? There's no real major momentum, no activity. So I don't think this is going to do a hell of a lot. We may see it though. This is like, there's no change in the news, but what we can see is a shift in sentiment on the positions, and we may see Euro just trade sideways here and then just drift lower a bit. And I think the trend stays in place. Unless the news changes to US dollar positive or a general change, we won't see this current trend sort of change at all. While the US dollar weakness shouldn't change. But what we might see is a drift down towards these trend lines, okay? And so the Euro's got a bit more room to move than some of the others. I mean, there's 100 plus points there probably on sterling as well for it to drift lower, and it's still in that sort of short-term to medium-term uptrend. And you're getting dollar CAD trying to sort of head to the top side as oil falls. And it's sort of, once again, the CAD can be tricky because it's got that pure connection to the oil price. And then you got the US sort of fundamentals, Canadian fundamentals, what's going on. It can get a little bit confusing, but you can see the currency's trading sideways, waiting for that next bit of news to sort of drive it up or down. Now, as I said, the news hasn't changed. So what we might see is a little bit of a false break opportunity on a few of these pairs. Like the ones that have got a fair way to go back down towards support. I don't think we'll see a false break there. But the ones that are close, you may see a little false break. Kiwi's pretty close. Okay, there's half a chance of it breaking down then going up. I think Aussie's far enough away that it'll hold. And same with dollar yen, you might see it pop higher and then head lower again. So that's pretty much it for me. It's one of those, we're sort of getting towards the middle of the week. Okay, everyone's sort of got their positions on, and now they're sort of starting to second guess themselves. So don't get caught up in that too much. If I just bring you back to the US dollar itself, or the dollar index, okay, I know this is a big portion of this is the euro, but what you'll find is the way this has gone down and broken lower, we end up with multiple resistance levels on the way back up. So it's not like it's going to rally easily, right? This is going to be a bit of a battle for the dollar. And if anything, it's a little bit overbought at the moment. I would suspect we see maybe a slight retracement back towards resistance, and then we start to see it drift lower once again. Now, without any fresh news as well, I can't see the dollar like exploding to the downside unless we see some major weird things happening in the US. But at this stage, it's that's all we've got to look for. So just coming back into trade of the daily market insight, no change in the sentiment here of the major pairs. There's a few shifts in some of these levels, like resistance in dollar yen is lower. Same with euro. Dollar Swiss, I think is a little bit higher. And then you got, we're coming back towards these support levels, which I'll be focusing on very closely as we go through the Asian session into that European session. All right, guys, that's it from me. You know, this is like the calm before the storm, so to speak. I wouldn't expect a lot of activity in Asia, as all the news is sort of European, North American based, and that's where you want to be focusing your attention. All right, guys, have a good trade day. Cheerio.